Welcome to the second part of Checkpoint this evening. Thank you so much for staying with us. We want to look at what has happened this past week. Lots of political happenings. We have in studio Gabriel Muduma, who's a political analyst, Family Affairs. Thank you so much for always making time for us on Checkpoint.
All the time, Linda.
We also have Ambrose Weda, who's a political analyst, but also a lawyer. Thank you so much for spending time with us and for analyzing political happenings with us every single week. We appreciate your time. So listen, former Prime Minister and ODM leader Raila Odinga on Friday received a heroic reception in Ruto's home turf. The Eldoret CBD came to a standstill as his convoy snaked its way into the City of Champions. Odinga, who was accompanied by Elgeyo Marakwet County boss Alex Tolgos and his Kakamega counterpart Wycliffe Oparanya, popularized his presidential bid in the North Rift region that is perceived to be the bastion of DP William Ruto's political backyard. Odinga delved into the perennial challenges affecting farmers and defended his social protection agenda for the families. I want us to listen into part of what he had to say as he addressed the residents there.
Jana nimepata kazi ambayo inastahili. Nimepata mafunzo, baadaye napata mkopo kutoka kwa serikali. Pesa ya serikali. Tutaweka wizara ya vijana, Ministry for Youth Affairs, and the one a National Youth Commission.
Watu ya hapa wanahitaji mbolea. Watu ya hapa wanahitaji pesa ya kufanya ukulima. Hawana haja na wilbaro. Hawana haja na mambo mengine. Wangapi wanasema hivyo?
Conversation about wheelbarrow and all that. Of course, that was expected in the North Rift. But gentlemen, looking at the reception that Raila Odinga got, and we had that story on Friday, the entire CBD came to a standstill. People came out to listen to what they had to say. What comes to mind? I mean, this is the backyard of Deputy President William Ruto. Or you can tell me numbers have nothing.
For having me. I've just come from Kisumu.
Welcome to Nairobi.
And Kisumu was good. I was at a place called Migingo.
Migingo.
Yes, not Migingo.
The island.
No. Migingo near Aero. I was
preaching.
A church called St. Paul's.
Okay.
ACK Migingo.
Okay.
It was nice. Then I left at about 3. For the first time, I came very fast.
And you're right.
Because of your program.
Thank you.
We thank God for the journey masses.
Yeah.
Now, crowds. Let me give you a bit of history. Okay. In 1992, I was supporting Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And anytime we went to a place, it was packed. And we knew Ajoma has gotten this thing. He became number 4. Baba himself is generally well-known and popular Kenyan. Anywhere in the Republic. There are people who are curious, there are people who love him, there are people who want to see him every part. And therefore the reception in Eldoret is normal. Normal how? They have voted for him before. These guys have voted for Baba.
Yeah, but you can't say, I mean, when I look at the numbers, how do you say normal?
I'm coming to that.
Oh, okay.
They have voted for Baba before. They love Baba. They are for him. The only question is, will they vote for him? There are indicators, you see, where somebody's popularity will translate into votes.
Okay.
Even the chief chicken seller, if he was to say is landing in Kisumu tomorrow, unless somebody organizes stone throwers, he will receive people. Remember during the celebration?
Yeah, at Kondele, actually.
Kondele.
Yeah.
He was received heroically. So let us not mix this. But there are indicators that shows you, is he popular here or not in terms of votes? You see the elected leaders with him or candidates.
Okay.
If you check there and you see that in Eldoret, the chief speaker is Junet Mohamed, there's a problem. When the chief chicken goes to Kisumu and the chief speaker is either David Sudi or somebody from Northeastern, you know there's a problem. You look at, are there local leaders either sitting or aspiring, where he's able to say so and so, so and so, so and so. Otherwise, just standing and being seen. These leaders have reached Uhuru Kenyatta, William Samoei Arap Ruto, Raila Odinga. They will always have crowds, even if you went somewhere and said, Baba is here.
That's true.
But whether that will translate into votes, a lot of work needs to be done. But Honorable William Samoei Ruto doing a lot of work in Kisumu County, Honorable Raila Odinga doing a lot of work in Eldoret, either to get Kikuyu votes or other tribes. But the challenge is there, will vote for the chief chicken seller. The Luos in Kisumu will vote for Baba. That's just obvious. It's basic.
Muthama, what do you think? And I mean, we're having this conversation in the newsroom, and guys are saying perhaps our politics is maturing. We're getting to a point where Raila will go to Eldoret and is received very well. The other day, like you mentioned, Ruto went to Kisumu, and Kondele, right in the middle of Kondele, guys were shouting Ruto, Ruto. Like, is this where we say we have matured politically?
Well, you know, Linda, every Sunday we come here, there seems to be something happening.
What?
You know,
you want to talk about marathon, guy?
Edna Rotich has done us proud. Thank you for winning the Paris Marathon. Athletics Kenya and the Ministry of Sports, great work happening there.
Yeah.
It's true, actually, our politics, and I'm glad where this is going. We've started seeing maturity in our politics. I didn't expect to see the crowd, like as you've put it, that received in Kondele, that received Deputy President William Ruto, like we went to Kisumu. And indeed, Honorable Raila Odinga going to Eldoret and getting such a great reception was also something amazing.
Yeah.
So if we can continue with this politics of tolerance, heading to 2022, I think we will see some moves in this country that are unprecedented. And it's a good thing.
And it's a conversation we've always been having, the three of us.
This is what we should be encouraging. Let somebody come. You know, listen to them. In fact, I encourage people, why are you booing? Don't boo. Just listen to what... And in fact, if you just don't want to hear this person, don't show up. Rather than go and mess somebody's meeting. So the reception in Eldoret was quite significant. But like Weda has said, you know, there's still that element of the substance. When push comes to shove,
will it translate
all these people come and vote? But it is important to mention those two things. First of all is the fact that these leaders who are going to sell their manifesto, they are going to sell their ideas, they are going to sell their candidature. It is good that they are received everywhere and they conduct their, you know, their politics peacefully. So it is good, Linda, that we are having this conversation, and I'm liking where this is going. Let us hope. Let us hope that it will continue that way. In finality, I think, talking about the crowds that we are seeing, often than not, most of the times, many people come just to see the person. There is like what I have said, there is something. There is a spark that when you hear Baba is coming somewhere, people run. The president is coming, people will come out. Deputy President William, people will come. Even Musalia, there are places that he goes and you see he's well received. But at the end of the day, what counts is who will come out at the end of the day to vote.
Whether we've had a conversation about the type of leaders that we deserve, the type of leaders that Kenyans want, and there seems to be a certain style of messaging that the top presidential aspirants are now taking. Listening into Raila saying, "Look, I'll give the youth unemployed 6,000 shillings every single month. We will revive this. We will revive this. We will revive this." Deputy President as well talking about the economy. Musalia talking about the economy. Are we finally looking at the issues in terms of the sort of leaders we want, listening to all of them? They seem to be having a list of this is what we will do for you. And I know that has happened before and people didn't deliver, yes. But are we seeing a change in the messaging? Are we seeing a change in the strategy of how these leaders are now approaching the electorate?
Linda, don't say that you have seen before and didn't come. President Uhuru came with the 4 agenda items.
4 agenda, yes.
And come from Kisumu straight here fast from 3 p.m. to now because the son of Jomo made sure roads are good.
Excellent.
That you give to him, even if you don't give him other things. The 4 agenda items just were derailed by the handshake. And you can see meant well. But let us look at the messaging.
Yeah.
The messaging is this. the chief seller had run away with the people on the bottom-up thing. Came up with it and it took everybody by surprise. He moved from us versus them, the rich versus poor, and it is catching people because there are quite a number of people unemployed. There are people who look into and say there is need to be something to be done in the economy, about the economy. So these other candidates, especially Baba, is trying to pick up because the chief seller bottoms up. Oh, this Mama Mboga will give you 120,000. I can give you 3 million now, but when I take over,
Yes.
budgets. So Baba is also trying to come up with, I'll give you 6,000, which I call communism, socialism, the Russian style. So they are crafting something that gives hope. The bottoms up is selling hope. And this hope people are buying. Whether it is an economic concept, now we need to put our economic minds. But it is hope that young people are bought. They are saying, better this one than these others. So Baba's team is crafting something which also gives hope. Although they're crafting, that's why they say we'll give 6,000, we'll give this. Whether that works, I still don't know, because to me that is socialism. If I was giving advice on elementary economic message, I would have divided this way. I would have said, those of us who are coming from technical colleges, those who want to open small enterprises, small businesses, you will be given a loan of, let's say, up to 250,000 to open up enterprises, to open up your workshops. This loan will be disbursed like this. Number one, the first 100 when you start. As you move on, let's say 6 months, there will be assessment. We see if you are moving, if you are growing.
Yeah.
Then you are added as you expand, so that you employ other people and you get how you earn a living. Now that takes care of those who are in colleges, who have technical knowledge. Then you take those who are coming from universities, those who want to open businesses. From there, you now go to the ordinary businessman and woman. How you are going to have them registered, how you are going to support them, how you are going to support them in terms of policies, in terms of capital, and in terms of manpower training. You take a chunk and then you tell them this is what we will do. But coming up to say we will give 6,000, even the Bible does not like this thing of giving. People must be fruitful. You must be fruitful and you multiply. So he is trying to sell hope, which is good. It is only that it will be swallowed in the bottom up, because the bottom up has not been defined. So you bring in your claim and you are told it is in there.
Somehow.
It is in there. You are talking about technical colleges, in there. You are talking about Mama Mboga, in there. So these other team must also define something that can be, hope people can look forward to, and is also capable of tackling all the aspects of the economy. The person coming from college, because that is the crisis we have. Lack of jobs. And that lack of jobs has to be addressed. How do you address it? You have to open up businesses. You have to start certain enterprises. For instance, we are doing a lot of roads. Many roads are being done. But they are being done in such a technical way that it does not employ locals. The Chinese came with all sorts of things. It is where you can say, look, we are going to do our roads,
but we
are not going to mechanize it 100%. We are going to mechanize it 60%. 40% has to be labor intensive. It is working in America. So these are things, these are policies that even amateur economists like me can tell them, draw it this way, draw it this way. We did the Jubilee one, small things I believe and so on, and it worked. But now, this thing of coming and we will give people 6,000, this such socialism does not build a country. We are He can't. That one, you go to China, or you not even China, you go to Russia.
I like the messaging.
Yeah.
When you talk about the messaging, and this is how you build such a message, Linda, because a message must first of all precede the excitement of just it being a message.
Yeah.
Because you can come up with any kind of message, but will people buy it? So this is how I feel, and here we have a lot of work to do. And here when I say we,
Who's we
I'm
here?
talking about the voter.
Yeah.
We have so much work to do, because really what the candidates will come out doing, and I'm not just talking again, we make this mistake of all the time looking at the presidential candidate. This is not it. You're looking at every person wanting to become your member of parliament, your governor, your MCA. Their messaging must actually speak to you and the problems that you're facing, because that's how you define the problems that you are undergoing. And then finding the leader who fits in the bill that they will rise up and solve these problems. I always remind people of the blueprint that Lee Kuan Yew used. He brought in, first of all, he brought in educated leaders who, first of all, understood where that country should be. And that's where all of us should start. Where does Kenya want to be in the next 10, 15, 20 years? And then we look at the leaders and what they are selling. First of all, and it's good, all the time, Linda, we have leaders coming to us, we must access them, or we must, put them in somewhat
On a
a
pedestal,
role,
yeah.
and we assess them based on the thematics that they are offering. If I know for sure, like Weda has said, coming from Kisumu, the road is full of potholes and what have you. Who is this person who is talking to me about infrastructure?
Yeah.
And when they talk about infrastructure, is it preceded by a serious advance that once they come into office, they are able to achieve what they are talking about?
Okay.
And by the way, it doesn't only stop at messaging. You come back, and I told you last time, once we vote in people, we must support them. When Jubilee came in 2013, key among their projects that they talked about was SGR.
Yeah.
Do we have an SGR today, or we don't? We have it. They came up with a program called the laptops. The laptops came. What happened somewhere along the road, we do not know. But that is something
the
that I
laptops
believe.
came.
Yeah, the laptops were there.
Okay.
The laptops, I saw them. I used one.
Some, not
you
all.
know,
They
yeah,
came.
but
Not
they
all.
did
Yeah.
come. The thing is, we go back to what I told you, Linda. It's not just the message. It's a progressive advance.
Yeah.
It does not matter how many kilometers of roads we built. If we don't have things like maintenance, preserving them, conserving them, understanding that we need to put proper use onto those roads, guess what we'll have in 5 years? Most of these roads will have potholes. So it is not just about building.
Yeah.
It's about ensuring that that environment, that infrastructure is taken care of. So the messaging must be as important as what the people want. You must understand your people, understand what is ailing them, and know if we are talking about education, if we are talking about changing our social infrastructure, if we are talking about building hospitals, what time frame do we have?
Yeah.
Because you know we cannot talk about these things for the next 10 years. Tutapitwa na wakati.
Ishapita.
But we are still there. Well, you give it up to these people.
Okay.
I just looked the other day what NMS were doing. Have you visited Nairobi, the NMS hospitals?
Yeah.
Visit them, Linda. They will shock you. They will surprise you, actually. I never thought we would do that in such a short period of time. But the point we are trying to make or send across here is that it is doable. The messaging has to be right. We no longer have the luxury of you just coming and spewing and throwing words. And
Okay.
here, this is why I am hoping that come 2022, the generation that will be making a difference will be informed. Once those guys are informed, Murevu, wanasemagaje?
Yeah.
Hivyo.
You can say you want them to be informed, but when you listen into Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister, and the other day he met the youth at University of Nairobi, and he was having a conversation with them.
Chandaria Hall. Is it
What
Chandaria Hall?
what do they expect and everything. And even when you listen to Deputy President William Ruto, almost all their messaging are targeting the youth. Yeah? And we've had this conversation about the sort of difference the youth will make. Mudhuma says, look, he hopes the people who will make a difference in 2022 will be informed. Yeah? I mean, you look at both Raila and Ruto, and they're all targeting the youth, and they're the group that will make a difference in 2022, not the rest of the people. The rest of the people will also make a difference, but the youth will play a big role. What?
I said last time, let me repeat. These youths, the ones you are talking about, they will vote the same way
No,
they
they
are
won't.
voting.
they will not.
They will not.
Whether.
Thank you, Linda. For the first time, no, they won't. No.
Let me finish.
No.
Please don't. It is not by violence.
Okay.
going by statistics we have had
Yeah.
for the last 3 elections. You understand?
Yeah.
2007, 2013, 2017. Those have been very critical elections. And Uhuru and Ruto came on the platform of young people. Young, I believe. Still the votes. The Luo youths voted for Raila. The
Aye.
Kikuyu youths voted for. And they were all this. So even these ones will still vote based on the tribal enclaves. The only reason why they are being targeted is their ability to influence. The space they are occupying. They are the ones who go for those rallies, remember?
Okay.
I don't think your grandmother goes for those rallies.
No.
I don't think your mother
No,
goes for those
no, no,
rallies.
no.
So the ones who go for those rallies, they can damage your campaign if they come and roundly heckle you. So you must excite them. Now that has to be there. That is why, even if you see, when William Ruto, the chief chicken seller, goes to Kisumu, when Baba goes to Eldoret, the message is always very palatable, very well chosen. They don't just go there and say, tell Alatibi. Baba will go there and say, I will deal with the issue of farmers. And Ruto is my brother. We work together. When he goes to Kisumu, he says, Lord of corruption, that one. We are not allowing him. Now, when chief chicken seller comes to Kisumu, he says, mimi mnajua, wakati baba alikuwa na mimi, tulishinda. He goes to Kikuland, he says, nyinyi, mnajua wakati ulikuwa na the son of Jomo, tulifanya nini? Sasa, ikifika wakati ni mimi, kuna tabu. And when he goes away, he calls Baba, ule mtu wa kitandawili. So it depends. So these messages are meant to psych the crowd. When you psych them, when Baba goes to Eldoret, or goes to Garissa, or when the chief chicken seller goes to Mombasa, if he was to be booed, it will kill the morale of his real supporters. So these messages are meant to psych the youth, to bring them. But as to whether they'll vote on the basis of the psych, bado sioni, the Luos one, the ones I talked to in Kisumu even yesterday, they are all Baba. But the chief chicken seller excites them. The ones that I see in Nairobi.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Uh-huh.
The Kikuyu ones. Some of them are chief chicken seller. Some of them are with this. So please, let's not take it that, oh, the youth, now they are kuna.
No.
Are we trivializing the role of the youth in 2022?
No, I think Weda is trivializing the role of the youth, and I'll tell you, that probably you're talking about some who are in Mashinani. But you see, still, the youth make a huge number in most of our major cities. When you look at Mombasa, whether you choose Nairobi, Eldoret, Kisumu.
Just point one statistic.
But
the last 3 elections. Show me this one.
You see, Weda, if you're going to listen to Weda will take you back to 1990 something. I'm talking about the current. No, I'm talking about the current youths who are the TikTok generation.
Yeah.
And I told you last time, those guys are vicious. They are. First of all, most of them don't. And I don't want to say this, in a bad way, but half of the time are rebellious, even to their parents. Hapana, we madhe ulishi siku yako. Hii ni time yetu. Hii ni time yetu. Wacha ni make, my decision. And I believe most of them like I told you last time, Linda, most of them, when things happen, they are usually the ones who are caught in the melee. And I think when you look at things like unemployment, when you look at, like Weda was telling us, people are coming to just build the roads and they are not involving the people who need these jobs. Most of these people who are left out in this economic bracket are the youth. And that is why they must actually form a critical mass to move the country in the direction which they feel will solve most of their problems.
Yeah.
Hence why I told you these messages that politicians are talking about must precede the excitement of you talking to a crowd. They must be followed with serious undertaking of what you promise you will do. Because let me tell you what, Linda, 5 years sometimes in politics people say may be a long time, but sometimes I believe it's not a long time. When you promise people that you'll do something for them, it will catch up with you if you won't do it. We've seen it back to back. And so I think if you coin or come up with a message and it's resonating with the youth and you get elected, kindly keep to your promise. And I know we are going to hear some crazy things coming out, but the fact that people are starting to coin messages that seem to augur well with the people, it is a good thing. It is a good place we are as a country. We only hope that with the message that they are bringing in, the words that they are using, once elected, they'll be able to fulfill those promises.
I'm looking at the messaging and just going back to Raila Odinga in Eldoret and the pledges that he made, Weda, and he touched on the key issues, the key activities that happen in northeastern Kenya. He talked about farming. He talked about reviving some industries. I mean, this is the backyard of Deputy President William Ruto. Looking at the numbers and everything, does this in any way dent the popularity of William Ruto? Does this in any way affect how popular he is in the North Rift, from where you sit?
I don't know why you people want to insist that there's a major shift. I've just said that when William Ruto goes to Kisumu, if there is no organization to help heckle him and throw stones at him, he will be received. In 2012, we took Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta Wangina to Kisumu all the way to Ndewa. It was humanity waiting for him.
So
basically, turn out in the votes.
So basically, what you're saying, it has zero effect.
What I am saying is that the core Kalenjin voters, if they were in that crowd, they'll vote for Ruto. Simple. If you go to Kisumu, the core crowd you see, if they are Luos, they'll vote for Baba. But any time that Baba lands, even if he came here, there will be commotion. If the chief councillor was to land here, there'll be commotion. This thing that Baba went there, did you people expect him to be stoned, or what did you expect? I really don't think that has shifted the ground, but it is a good sign that there are no exclusive zones.
Yes.
Which
That's
has
a
been
good
part of our
thing.
problem in the country.
Yes.
And remember also that problem has generally been near the lake. These other parts, you go to Nyeri, they'll not stone you. You go to Ukambani. Even remember last time people were saying there was violence in Western, there will be violence in Ukambani. I told you, no, the Kambas will not fight. They'll vote quietly. So the parts that need to repent is the Luo land and the Luya land. They are the ones with the tendency to stone people they don't like. Now that this is changing, Jimmy, we thank God. But to say things have shifted, now what? I would not do that. I would not think like that. Let me just add that the only sure vote, not the youths you are talking about, the only sure votes that you can count on and statistics show that you are counted on are normally the women. Yes. They are the ones who voted Obama.
I agree.
The other day they voted Joe Biden. Here in Kenya, I've also run for elections, my dear. No, don't just think I'm just empty speaker here. In 2007, I swept the ODM Secretary General, Professor Nyong'o, and everybody. Baba had to come and rescue him. But the co-vote.
I don't believe that. Okay.
Oh,
Where?
please.
Where?
Please. Go and find out.
Where?
You know, when you are defeated here, people think you are a goat. No. So, the sure team that will take you in if they promise you,
is the women.
Even beyond tribe, is the women. How do you get to the women? Number one, you get through their children. So you make their children happy. These youths, they influence their mothers more. Their fathers are stuck. So if you want to get the women, you get their children, you make their children happy. Even the small ones, they take back home and say, Mommy, it's weather. You understand? Secondly,
come where we were.
Secondly, so it's not that the youth will vote for you.
No, but they will
their mothers will.
influence.
They
But
will
yes.
That's what I spoke about.
Back to where what
Then
you were
secondly,
saying.
If they won't vote for you, why are they influencing you if they won't vote for you? Eda?
Because they'll influence others for you. Secondly, you influence the women. You understand? Women get even influenced by the way you look, the way you speak. That's why I'm very annoyed that some people took Baba to Kempinski and gave him some Nabongo Mumia robes at a time when we wanted to say Baba is as young as Joe the Biden. Capable. Now they go and give him some long robes that were worn by Kabaka Yek. I say, what's wrong with these guys? Who are these strategists? So the young people, please, they are good. You dance with them,
but whether
yes.
we agree they will play a role.
Of course, they will play a very important
big
role.
one.
But I like it. I like whether that you've brought another demography. I like the fact that you brought the women, because this is also quite another huge demography. And you'll find most of the time, when the youth really they are faced with hardships, most of the time, most of them will call Mami, Mom. So you will find most of the time, women, when it comes to elections, they feel as if they have the biggest skin in the game. For a good reason.
Our children.
For our children, yes. Our good reason. For a great reason.
Yeah.
They want to have the skin in the game. They want to. And when peace, in many cases, when we've had skirmishes within our elections, when peace is threatened, women and children suffer more. So I think this time around, I think 2022 will also mark something else where I expect, in my own reasoning, to see a lot of women and a lot of youths coming out.
Why you say that looking at
Don't listen to it because he thinks they will not make a difference. I honestly believe they will make the biggest chunk of a difference. Yeah, and information now is spreading quite quickly. The WhatsApp groups are there. The TikToks are there. Actually, I have seen groups that are just made to support one candidate. And they are major groups. They keep adding people. And they are all over. So it is. I know for whether he'll keep returning us back to, he'll keep pushing us back to the reset that they won't matter much. But I think the youth on this one, they have a big chunk, and they need to be in the game.
The youth have always been there.
Listen, gentlemen, I need us to move to a different conversation about that conversation, whether or not members of parliament and MCAs need to have degrees to vie in 2022. I want us to listen into some of the sentiments of leaders on that. Then we have a conversation whether or not does it make sense. I mean, does education translate to good leadership? Could we listen into that?
Because even in developed countries, my lord, individuals are elected on the basis of their political acumen. They are elected on the basis of their competence, my lord. But, my lord, we cannot deny, my lord, individuals the right to exercise their political choice.
To say that MCAs should have the same qualification as members of parliament is not to be reasonable.
Let us be serious. You expect the chair of budget committee like Kanini Kega here, looking at budget estimates, and membership of that committee has people who have not gone beyond standard 7, standard 8.
Yeah, the degree question for members of parliament and MCAs. And Muduma, while we're having a conversation earlier, said we need to have educated leaders.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Because of the nature of decisions they have to make. But MCAs went to court and said, look, this is discriminatory, it is unfair. The court said there was no public participation. What are your thoughts?
Well,
does education translate to good leadership?
I'll be the first one to tell you, education is a good thing. The more people are educated, the better they become. Yeah. That one, you can take it anywhere and it will pass. Linda, when you look at the first world, and it may be a skewed comparison, but this is where I want you to go. When you look at the first world, United States, Germany, Japan, when you compare their leaders with our leaders, the thing that stands out is that most of their leaders are educated.
Okay.
Right? And here it is good also to mention that sometimes we may run to the integrity facet and the accountability facet and say they don't share the same lines. could be factual, but that does not negate the fact that having education makes or puts you in another level of thinking than somebody who doesn't have education. It is just pure facts. Now, I have seen so many people argue about this, and I don't want to make it a debate where, oh, you need to have it is not, it is, people are, there was no public participation, somebody doesn't need a degree, other ones need a degree. But the truth of the matter is, in environments where people are educated,
Yeah.
you will realize there is advancement. And that is why I truly believe, even as we have this debate, we need to have a minimum education requirement, whether you're serving at the MCA level or the Member of Parliament. The reason that I keep arguing is, Linda, we are not where we used to be 40 years ago.
Okay.
Where we are heading, the 21st century is as sophisticated as they come. You need people who can think. You need people who can analyze statistical data. You need people who can sit down and run a fiscal policy. You need to sit down with people who can tell you, this tells us that we need to have these so many doctors, we need to have these so many teachers,
Yeah.
we need to have these so many engineers, and this is how we are going to progress. Now, if we can all agree that the work of education is required in all those spheres, just like any other sea of commerce, why shouldn't we have it in leadership? And again, I am not saying in leadership you don't need accountability, and in leadership you don't need to be somebody with good virtues to be able to lead. Yes, they count. They are important things. But having education is a major plus for any leader in this country.
Wada, what are your thoughts?
I really don't think we should be
degree or
discussing
not.
this thing.
We should. This is why. Because we are the same people who
yes.
keep talking about the kind of leaders that
Yes.
we want.
Yes, I'm saying so because we talked about it here earlier. And let me give a disclaimer. My views are based on the fact that I'm very highly educated. Quality education. So it may be
The only
biased.
university.
It
The
may
only
be
university.
biased.
The only university.
And again, I've gone again and again. I can align degrees. But, Linda, they say that the official language of the Republic of Kenya is English. Our documents are in English.
Right.
So, but English is not our midomo.
It's not our mother tongue.
Do you understand that? Meaning you have to learn it. And you have to learn it deeply. So that when you meet people like me, and we are talking about Kisungu Kubwa, then you are able to conceptualize and to decipher and consume what we are saying. That basically means, therefore, there must be some education.
Correct.
That is one. Two, it depends on where you are going to sit. Your education is in line with what you are going to do. If you are going to sit and look at Martha Koome or Maraga in the face and you want to tell her, Madam, I don't think unatosha, your education must be, it cannot have been left somewhere at KCP, please.
Okay.
If you are going to examine cabinet secretaries, including Professor Magoha, who will come and tell, I'm not stupid, I'm a professor, Buana, keep quiet. If you left at KCP stage, or it was KCSC, but Uko Chini did something, it is a problem. Then, if you're also going to look at, you are going to represent this nation, this country, into various fora, you are going to meet the Americans and the Chinese and the Britons, and you're going to speak in English, you have to be highly educated. We have seen leaders whose education was kidogo, but their blessings in terms of election was high. Their performance was very low. Kibaki was able to deliver a lot, not because he comes from Othaya, but because he was a shrewd economist.
Correct, that's true.
Added experience.
That's true.
So when we reach where we say it is good for politics, for popularity, to say anybody can be anybody.
Yes. Let the people decide.
But if we are thinking about the country, we cannot make parliament the only place where Tom, Dick, and Harry, Onyango, Mutisa, and Otieno comes to make a decision. Yet when you go to the judiciary, there are minimum standards.
Yeah.
When you go to the executive, minimum standards. When you come to parliament, just because you are elected. So those who argue like that, let them argue like that for popularity's sake. But for the sake of this country, it is our time to put standards, to say we want to grow. These are our minimum standards. These are what we need for us to grow in the next 50 years. So having a Form 3 drop out, and he didn't drop out because
there was no fees.
There was no fees or whatever, or it was super brilliant. He dropped out because he couldn't understand math. He couldn't understand chemistry. The English was tough.
And he's your chairman of the budget appropriations.
Then when he comes to be governor, Nairobi County. He's here, governor, Nairobi County.
Need
You
I say
will
more?
see them making their own uniforms. And coming with their own uniforms and their own thrones. And that is because of little or lack of education. Hosea 4:6, prophet Hosea says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because they have rejected it. God himself says,
yes.
Proverbs 4:7, seek wisdom. It is the principal thing. Of all you are getting, get understanding. My dear, you will not understand medicine unless you go to medical school.
That's true.
School,
You
yes.
will not understand law until you go to law school. You will not understand economics unless Professor Mukras has taught you. So these are the ones where we are going to collect people and make them governor Nairobi and make them whatever. They will continue fighting. Even now, they are not debating in parliament.
They are fighting.
When they are passing the fuel levy, they don't read because they are too busy. They can't even read billboards.
Just pass and go.
Then when it is passed, they tell government, how did you pass this? Uhuru, you have to do this. When you tell them, but it is you who passed it. You can also take it away. Then when it is time to take it away, they have also disappeared. Some of them are just basic gorokos because of lack of education. So they have, when you are highly educated, then you also want to protect your credibility.
That is true.
If you elect whether, I will not make my own throne. Just when I look at my classmates, my children, then I say, I can't do a throne. But when you have sprung from Simulatewa, you say, look at how far I've come.
And you know one thing
there.
I've agreed. You
Yeah.
know whether there's something that you've said, and I'll just add two things. One, Linda, I told you it is not hard to get the leaders like what he's talking about.
Yes.
Anytime, Linda, you go to a doctor, you look for the best doctor. Assume you're getting on a flight like whether that's all the time flying. You want to be flown by an experienced pilot. In every other sphere, we'll look for experience.
Except
When it comes to leadership, why do we then change the deck? Why don't we say, the same way I use my imagination to get the best doctor is how I'll use to get my member of parliament. And by the way, this legislator is the one going to write the laws that will govern you.
Yes.
In fact, if you look at it in hindsight, he is actually going to make more decisions than that doctor will make. As a matter of fact, he's going to make the decisions that will even govern that doctor.
Yes.
So, having said that, in finality, Linda,
bare minimum.
education, again, we must all agree, is not an independent variable. It must be subjected to other variables for it to become complete. What are they? Accountability. You may be as educated as Mugabe, but you still run your country into ruins.
Yeah.
So accountability, honesty, responsibility, they must all plug into your education for it to mean something.
I like what the two of you have said. And in this show, we keep talking about the kind of leaders that we need. So we're all agreeing there has to be a bare minimum.
Of course.
By all means.
By, yes.
MCAs, members of parliament, for Kenyans who are listening, the leader that
Even
you
being
choose.
a prison warder. They say minimum.
There has to be a bare minimum. I mean, for the leaders that Kenyans want out there, yeah? So that not we...
The prison warder is not a leader. Is he a leader elected?
Listen, so that we don't get to 2022 and people start asking, okay, what are our leaders doing? I mean, elect the people you think will help you. And that will make a whole lot of difference in your life. Let me see how many minutes we have. Good. I want us to have a conversation about Huduma number. Yeah, was invalidated by the courts, and it's not the reason I'm having this conversation. It's not the only thing that has been invalidated under the Jubilee administration. So you have Huduma number, you have the BBI, you had the CASS, you had the parastatal appointment. I mean, can we listen a little bit to what was said about the Huduma number, the back and forth, and leaders saying, look, perhaps it's a deliberate attempt to frustrate the government.
And very considered rulings on a matter, especially a matter of such great public interest. I believe the intention was proper. You know, a one-stop repository of information of all Kenyans, so that we don't have to work with 10 cards.
The court should be going a little slow on everything which touches on government. Because if you are going to be saying everything is illegal, so we won't get anywhere far. And we have spent so much money for Huduma number. And this is a good thing if it can replace the ID card.
Yeah, this is activism. You can see even us. Over 40 counties passed the BBI bill. We collected over 5 million signatures. IBC certified those signatures that these are Kenyans who are registered. You know, despite its independence, at times they must look at the will of the people.
What are you, the deep state here? Disregard to procedures or stance by the courts against the government? What do you think? It's not the first
Linda,
one.
I think when it comes to, you don't compare Huduma number and BBI.
Oh, okay.
BBI was a serious attack, and it had to be dealt with. But Huduma number is like an ID.
Yeah.
It's a policy issue. It is in America, it's called Social Security number.
Correct.
Each person has your own number, just like we have our own ID. But here, we have IDs, we have children that are not accounted for.
That's true.
You don't know whether they exist. You can't plan because you don't know. We are using the census, which is an estimation. So ordinarily, each Kenyan, if you are going to move, must have a number through which you transact, must have a number through which you are known, must have a number that you exist. The way in schools, children now have numbers.
Yeah, name is number.
Yes, that is how you handle them. So if one is not in school, you're able to tell where is this one. Not that you had 40 students, now you have 35. Where are the rest? And you say which ones? Their names cannot be said. Now, that is what it is. So when somebody comes to say, I've not read the ruling, but when you say something is wrong with that, I think we are not going to make a move as a country. This we have because it also enables us to pay tax and to be followed to pay taxes. So that when you say government has stolen, people are stealing in government and they are bad and you are condemning them, your tax is there. You can't just be talking and you are always escaping. Even God does not listen to you because he does listen to sinners. So that ruling, I need to read it.
Well,
but
whether the government
yes.
said, the court said the government failed to conduct a data impact assessment.
Added?
The data impact assessment. Like the information they would get from Kenyans, how it would be stored, the safety of it all.
You see, I really think that that does not go into whether the number is invalid. That one ordinarily you would have said this kind of information will be excluded. There's this thing which has come. People are always talking about data security, our number. If you ask somebody, what's your name? Say, that's private. What's your this? People hide. We have to disclose certain things for us to interact, for us to move, for us to build a country. You have to say, yes, my name is Ambrose Weda, this is my age, I went to this school, I have this number of children, so and so, all this. Not only for planning, but for building this. But if we are to go minute, there is always, when you make a decision, you call it the justice of the matter. For instance, If you sue government and you win, and you are supposed to get legal costs a lot, the court itself will say, since this you will be paid from the exchequer, we decline to award you cost. Not because the court hates you, but you look at it and say, this is the people of Kenya. So you look at what will they lose compared to an individual gaining. So you look at the Oduma number, you look at any mistake may have accompanied, the cost involved, then you say, this was a mistake, but it needs to be corrected this way so that we also don't lose this much. Even there are some statutes which have been declared unconstitutional, but the court always says, we have given Parliament 24 months to make corrections.
To fix it, yeah.
Let's not just waste 4 billion, 5 billion. We can't be puritanical in decision making in the courts to the detriment of the very person, the very people of Kenya. This is Oduma number for all of us. Money has been spent. If there was something wrong, that is what is corrected, but the number proceeds. I'm talking also as a lawyer of over 25 years, a brilliant one, an author, and a distinguished one. So when I say this, I say from a point of knowledge. There are certain decisions, you look at the overall impact. If it was like BBI, you say, no, this is changing the superstructure. But Oduma number, you say, if you didn't talk to Linda or you didn't find out this message about Linda, you say, this part, we want it clarified like this for the number to proceed. Because otherwise, it will force government again to come up with something similar with another name. Because this has to come. These IDs, they no longer work. We have to have social security numbers in this country. That is how it works in America. That's how it works in Britain. That's how it works even in Russia. So why would we be here where we are hanky-bonky? Nobody knows who. People come from Somali, others come from Nigeria, others come from wherever, and then they make fake IDs, and they are
part
there.
of the system.
No. So I think before I read the judgment, but looking at the preliminarily, no.
I think just like what I've not actually read the judgment. Yeah. But I think from what I've been able to hear, first of all, it's the process, and I think the court were concerned about the data protection laws, which they feel could be infringed upon. But more than that, I've just been asking, they should have moved quite fast. By now, everybody should have had their Huduma card before this judgment came. Well, me and you should have been having our cards, you know?
Do you have?
And put no,
I don't. I took mine in Rongai. Rongai consistent.
But the card has not come.
No, I've not even heard about
it. So you see, this is a process which I believe we were told will take about 6 months or so, if I'm not. You were told about the same time. Yeah. So I think this is something which should have gone very fast before the court comes to decide what
Everyone
they're deciding now.
Nairobi
Nairobi, haturudishi. But now, I mean, no. You see, like what I'm saying, once you have it, and the process, is being questioned, really you can work things here and there. But then again, Linda, I don't think all is lost. Let's wait and see, the Interior, the Ministry of Interior, they said they've actually, through the Attorney General, they've filed, against that judgment. Let's see whether it will be quashed. But I think, like what they're saying, it's a brilliant idea.
If I was advising the Minister for Interior, I would not go for appeal. There's this obvious things people tend to do. I would study the judgment, see where there's a complaint. If it is data protection, now that's what you deal with. You understand? You deal with it, then you start it afresh. You use the same material, but now with the correction. Because the data is there, everything is done. It's only that say the Oduma number is unconstitutional. So instead of appealing and waiting, you will come up with social security number or new national ID. And you use the same information, but where the court and people are concerned about data protection, you address that point and still use the same information. Appealing as if also government is fighting with the judiciary, that's not the way they should look at. What do we look at here? You need tact, you need Kichwa, you need Kathirawich for you to deal with some of these things. It's not just every day appeal. You say there when they were appealing over BBI, I said, why appeal? What you do, abandon that one, get 2 amendments. 1, create 3-4 offices, prime minister, deputy prime minister, whatever. And then below it, add the money for devolution.
Back
to BBI.
Back to BBI.
No, but you know,
let me just explain to you.
Okay.
Just go through parliament, create 2 or 3 posts, and then increase the money for devolution. Just 2 things, new things. Then you rush them to the referendum. Leave out the many stories and the many things.
It's already back in
But
parliament.
they went.
but you also know, I mean, back to Duma, you see, data protection is actually, it's actually something huge, eh?
Yeah,
coming to the future. And I know, you remember there was a time, was it the security bill? You remember, in parliament? People fought, literally. Mtu akamwagiliwa maji. Why? Because people believed that if that law passed, then our phones will be tapped, somebody will be listening to us. So, you know, this issue about privacy, it's something very big. Yeah. You know,
I don't know why people worry about it.
It's something so big. So at the end of the day, yes, you want Kenyans to have this technology, which is grand, which is good, which is so welcomed. But also, you know, you must make them feel safe.
Yeah.
You must make them feel secure that, you know, their data, they won't find it, you know, being used somewhere to get, you know, into their banks, into their credit cards and what have you. Medical records, if you will.
I need to wrap this conversation up. Let me start with you.
Yes.
For me,
even your NHIF will be there, everything.
But that is the way, that is easier.
Yeah,
even now,
with you.
When you go to your e-citizen,
yes,
you will find now everything is there.
Yeah.
So all you need to do, instead of being asked, use your ID or use whatever, each person will have a number so that even the young children, they also have.
They can be accounted for.
They are accounted for. They can also do certain things on their own.
Listen, I need to have this conversation. Okay, the 2 minutes. Mudhuma, listen, we have Mashujaa Day coming up on the 20th of October. Anything from where you sit worth celebrating? This is the parting shot tonight?
Of course, a lot worth celebrating.
Okay.
First of all, let me talk about my great country.
You have 1 minute, because what else was 1 minute?
What we've been able to achieve, I think, in the last 1 year, I mean, with all the craziness on COVID, I think we've done well. We are not there yet, but we've done well. The vaccines, you know, the number of people vaccinated is going up. Apart from these political things that you're seeing, crowds which need to be taken care of, I think people, people covering themselves and what have you, we are doing well. More than that, I think sports-wise, I think we've done well. We had the World Under-20, which was, we had the Olympics, at least we led in Africa. We had the Continental Tour, which happened, which is good. We are continuing wrecking, you know, all the money is coming from the marathons. The national anthem is being played all over the world. We have so much to celebrate.
Whether?
All I would say is let it be a day of unity.
Yeah.
Let me urge my president, make sure your deputy is next to you on that day, and all these other leaders, so that they don't do Tialala, they don't do UDI, they come as a national day. We see them as Kenyans. It gives us hope. It gives us some comfort that it is just politics, otherwise we are one nation. Let's not see where somebody without office is elevated above the deputy president. That would be wrong, and it is not good for our country. Otherwise, may God continue to expand and bless us in the special manner in which He does.
Amen.
That's why our people win.
Amen.
And we are peaceful, notwithstanding the hula baloo and the hanky-dories that are going around. God Almighty is with us because our Constitution says we acknowledge the supremacy of God of all creation.
And remind people to drive safe.
If they don't,
1 minute. I said 1 minute. Mudhuma, why are you giving me?
I was just because he drives from Kisumu all the time. tell people to be driving safe.
Listen, I am a safe driver, and
not you.
And today let me tell you, I came from.
Whether I have 30 seconds, I
yes, I came from. No, let me let him just
from
understand.
Diwa.
Came from Kano. Straight to Mau Summit. Then I went to Baringo.
I need to wrap this up. People.
You understand? That's why the roads are good. We thank Uhuru and his team.
On that note, people, thank you so much for watching Checkpoint. Ambrose Weda, Gabriel Mudhuma, always thank you for your time on Checkpoint. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good evening. I'm Linda Ogutu. Unfortunately, I'm not able to sample some of your views, but I'll try to do so next week. Have a good weekend ahead, people. Bye.